Well, right away, Fred, why don't we just get started? This interview is kind of being partnered with Des Moines Area Community College. They don't have intramural sports right now because of the pandemic. And of course, the Des Moines area campus rec. Now, I've heard that you can be spotted in the DMAC weight room every now and again. So what are your workouts like right now, Fred?
Man, right now, just kind of laid back. I haven't really been doing a lot just because of the whole pandemic stuff. But for the most part, I was trying to get out and do stuff in the yard with my kids. Last 2 or 3 weeks, my son has been wanting to play baseball. So I've been outside playing baseball with him with a bunch of the neighbor kids we're all kind of doing our thing by wearing our masks and all that. So it's been fun to do that. I live next door to my brother and my brother-in-law. So we get a bunch of family members doing stuff that way. So it's always something we can get into, especially with them being that close.
Yes. Well, speaking of that, you and your twin brother, Patrick, I saw something from a couple of years ago that you guys were running track in your late 30s. So what prompted you guys, like maybe 37, 38 years old to start running track again?
Yeah, that's just my brother and I always being competitive, man. He saw that there was it was nationals was being hosted at Ames down at Iowa State. So he was like, let's compete. And I was like, man, you do realize we haven't done anything in track for 15 years now. And he was like, I don't care. I was like, well, I don't care either. So we went out there and did it, had a blast doing it. Hamstrings probably weren't too happy at us the next few days, but we like to do it. We just like to compete and stuff. And that was an opportunity for us to do so.
What track events did you run growing up? I can imagine you were a 100 and 200 guy, but did you ever get into the 400s and the 800s too?
Yep, I was a 400 guy. My mom was actually training for the Olympics when she got pregnant with my brother and I. So we got some speed from her. I can't say that I still have that speed, but we were all Americans in the 4x1 at Coe College. So track was something that we love to do, and to be able to have that opportunity to continue to run. We do it every year at Iowa games. We have been for the last 3 years anyway. And I mean, it's just fun to be out there competing. And when you have a twin brother that's the exact same way, we love to compete in anything we do. So to be able to have that opportunity is something we jumped on right away.
What event did your mom run?
She was a 400 runner. So, yeah, she was training for the Olympics to be a part of the 4x4 and the 400 sprint.
Wow. Mm-hmm. So you must have picked up all the speed from your mother then.
That's what she tells us, and she says that to my dad, and he doesn't argue. So that's what I try and think anyway. She gave us the speed. I tell everybody that any speed that I had, I got it from my mom because I guess she used to be a burner when she was younger.
So you mentioned Coe College earlier, Fred. Of course, Coe College is over in Cedar Rapids. And, hardly ever does a Division III school see an athlete like you and your brother come through and play football and run track at D3s in Iowa. So how did you end up from, the Dallas area down in Texas up here at Coe College in Cedar Rapids?
Yeah, I mean, long story short, I was tiny in high school, didn't play much.
How small?
Yeah.
How small were you?
5'6", 145 pounds. My senior year playing football. And I had my middle school coach at the time was a Coe College alum, and he had been the head coach at Coe. So we were really close to him growing up in middle school, all through elementary and things like that. And he said, I got the perfect place for you guys to go and continue your football career if that's something you want to do. And of course, we jumped on it. It was an opportunity to go to college, get another degree and things like that. So we were all about it. And we ended up there. And, I mean, the rest is history. We had a fantastic time. Loved everything about being at Coe. Had a tremendous 4 years there playing football, running track, and, just making lifelong friends. So, but I was small. I mean, tiny. And my son is the same way right now. So he's mad at me. I told him he'll get used to it and he'll grow eventually. Is what all they can do is worry about that. But if I think, not being able to get that many opportunities, Coe was the best place for me to go.
When did you grow?
For 10 years, basically after high school, between the summer between my freshman year, I grew 4 inches and about 40 pounds. So I came in, or about 30 pounds, and I came in at about 170, and I was 5'10", 5'11". And through Coe, grew another 2 inches. I left Coe, I was 6'1". Was right at 200 pounds. And then when I got to the NFL, and I would have been 24, 25, I grew another 25 pounds of muscle. So for 10 years, I was still growing, and I just happened to keep growing. And right now, I'm growing in the wrong ways, I think. I'm almost up to 230 pounds now.
Yeah, you and me both. But was there a moment, like your senior year at Coe, you rushed for like 2,700 yards, had 29 touchdowns. Was there a moment during that year where you're just like, man, football is fun right now? I've never had it where I'm just running by and running through people.
Yeah, I mean, it definitely started the first game of the year. First game of the year, we won 50-0, and it was 50-0 at halftime. And we called the dogs off. And, after that game, I was leading the nation in rushing. And, I had a touchdown call back for 80 yards. And after that play, the coach pulled me. And I was just like, man, this year is going to be fun if we could play like this every game. So, and we did. We played as a team. We played really well. We made it to the playoffs, won a game in the playoffs. And, it was a lot of fun. I think everybody on that team made plays that year. And then it was, again, me and my brother competing, trying to see who was going to be the best, Jackson on the team. And I think that's what made going to Coe with my brother so fun, is we got to compete with each other and make each other better at the same time.
Yeah, obviously you have set your roots here in Iowa now. You're talking about all your family playing together in the neighborhood right now, which is cool, but you're not a native of Iowa, of course. So outside of Coe College and football at Coe and track at Coe, what about Iowa appealed to you to want to come back here and raise your family?
Man, it's slow motion, man. It's slowed down. Playing football for 10 years where I'm going all over the place and constantly doing stuff. Especially my last year being in Seattle. It was too fast paced for me. I didn't really enjoy that. And when you have a family, you want to be somewhere where, not only are you surrounded by family, but your kids can go outside and you don't have to worry about them. They're surrounded by family and they can get together and they can go play outside, and we can sit here and watch TV and not worry about where the kids are. You grow up in a big place like Dallas or living out in Seattle, that's not the case. And, it's, slow motion. Midwest people are some of the nicest people you can be around. And, when I was at Coe, I fell in love with that. I fell in love with the fact that, people are for the most part nice and, will look out for you. And, coming back to Coe or coming back to Iowa, my neighbors now are people that, absolutely just love to death. We hang out with all the time outside of my family. So, I mean, just things like that just appeal to me. My wife, originally, well, she's a military baby, but she grew up in Iowa, and it was something that she was all for too.
That's great. So going back to Coe College and that great senior year that you had there, were there any scouts talking with you? Was there a chance of going right from Division III to the NFL? Or how, what was that process like right after that senior year?
Okay, so, right after that senior year, I did a workout with the Broncos, the Bears, the Packers, and Cowboys, I think. And, all of them said the same thing. We think you're talented, but it's just hard to make the jump from Division III to the NFL. And they said, we would love it for you to just keep playing and get some more film of us seeing you playing. So that was the reasons I ended up in Sioux City with the Sioux City the Sioux City Bandits, so that, I could get some more film and keep that out there. The Packer scout, when he came out, he worked out me and my brother at the same time. And, I mean, he threw everything he could at us. And, we did well at it. He just said, it's just hard for me to stick my neck out on the line for a guy from Division III that all he did was play at Division III. So, and I respected that. I told him I'd get him some more film and I'll continue to do, whatever it was I needed to do. I was just motivated after hearing that, where he said, I think you can play at the next level. I just need more tape on you. I was motivated to do so. It was funny. After my second or third year in the league, he reached out to me on Twitter and he was just like, man, I told you you weren't good enough to play in the NFL, and now you're single-handedly carrying my fantasy team. So, Yeah. So, I mean, it's great stories like that, I've always, loved and been able to say, I told you so. I knew I had the ability to play. So, but I mean, it was there. I had an agent. We thought some things might happen in the draft, in the later rounds, obviously, but it was again the same things that I heard guys thought that I might have the ability, but they just weren't ready to do it. And I ended up in Buffalo because of a well-known Coe College alum himself and Marv Levy. I had a chance to meet him at homecoming, and he told me flat out he watched some film. My middle school coach down in Texas and Marv Levy are great friends. He played for Marv and he coached with Marv out at Cal. So with those two knowing each other, he connected me to Marv, and Marv watched film of this Coe College alum. And when he went back in 2006, I got a phone call 3 days later. Man, true to his word, he said, if I got an opportunity, I'd get you a workout. And when he went back as a GM in Buffalo, 3 days later, I got the phone call. He was a man true to his word, and without him giving me that opportunity, I don't know that I make it in the NFL.
Yeah, that was going to be my next question. Without Marv Levy, does Fred Jackson ever gain, 5,600 yards and score 40 touchdowns in the NFL?
Yeah, and you know what? I love him to death, and when I do talk to him, he tells me all the time, I don't want any credit for that. You did that all the I can't let him get away with that. Without him believing in me and giving me the workout, sending me over to NFL Europe so I could play over there and get some more tape, for all these NFL scouts. I wouldn't be where I was. I wouldn't have had that opportunity to make those plays in the NFL. So without him and, even my middle school coach connecting us, without those two connections, I wouldn't have made it in the NFL.
What is it about the running back position in particular? It seems like you almost have to see him in games, because a lot of guys look good, in shorts and a T-shirt. They look good with their shirt off. They look good in all the drills. They can catch. They can run. They're quick. They got a good 40. They can bench press. But then some guys are just different between the lines than other guys.
That's it. It's easy to look good when there's no what we call bullets flying at you. Bullets being the defense trying to come after you. It's easy to do it when you're out there and you're just doing it on the field. But when it's in game and you're going like this and the quarterback's throwing plays at you, yelling at you, and you don't have time to just sit back and slowly tell you about it, that's when you find out what guys really are about. And that's why you have, some of these tremendous athletes that do stuff in college. When they come out and make it to the NFL, they don't survive. It's because you need to see what it's like when you get a playbook this thick thrown at you, and you have to know all of it in certain situations that it tweaks it this much, but you still have to be able to know that that's the difference, and that's what while some guys can stick around longer. And one of the things I was able to do is I was able to, learn that playbook and, be the second quarterback on the field. And that helped me with my athletic ability to stick around for a while.
Did you have like a welcome to the NFL moment? All of a sudden, because you play indoor football, D3 football, NFL Europe. Now all of a sudden you're playing, in the same division as Tom Brady, and you're playing running back. I got to imagine there was a moment where like you got hit, or the speed of the game that it told you this is a little different right now.
You know what? And my welcome to the NFL moment is actually pretty funny because it's from another Division III guy in London Fletcher. And when we were at practice, we were running, and of course, I come out of the backfield, I make a play, and I'm running down the sideline, and I'm thinking the play's over with because we're kind of just doing stuff, just going out. And London knew I was a Division III guy, so he kind of took me under his wing and wanted me to succeed because of being a Division III guy. So I'm kind of trotting down the sideline, and all of a sudden he just comes through and he just cleans my clock. And I look up my feet and my legs, and I'm rolling and rolling and rolling. He comes over and he helps me up, and he says, anytime you're in between these lines, never relax. And picked me up, patted me on my butt, and set me on. And I was just like, okay, I get what you're saying right now. You've never arrived in the NFL. But you have those moments where you get reminded you're in the NFL. And that was definitely my first one because it would have been training camp. I'm 2 days into training camp, and I'm thinking, I'm pretty good. I feel good about myself. And And London came over and he just smacked me and reminded me, nope, you're not nearly as good as you think, young man. So always stay on your P's and Q's. And that was definitely my welcome to the NFL moment.
So you mentioned London Fletcher, but who was the biggest hitter or the toughest defender that you played against?
Oh, man. You got to go with Ray Lewis. I played a couple of games against Ray Lewis, and he was what you see, this figment of this man, this myth, this legend. That was Ray Lewis. And he was a guy that's out there barking the entire game, whether he's giving orders to his defense or he's telling you what he's going to do to you when you get the ball. So that was definitely my guy that I love to play against, love to compete against. And you mentioned another one, Tom Brady. There was 3 or 4 games where I thought for sure we had Tom beat. We were going to beat him, and he did his thing, and he marched down the field, and they beat us in the end. So, you can sit back and I can think of 100 different ways, 100 different things of me, being like, man, I made it in the NFL.
Right. And obviously, you played the majority of your career in Buffalo. In
Mm-hmm.
Buffalo, they're famous for that run in the 90s where Marv Levy, they just couldn't get over the top. But because of that, they've developed one of the most loyal fan bases in pro sports, not just the NFL, but in pro sports. What was it like playing in front of those Buffalo Bill fans every week?
Yeah, that's just it, man. You talk about some of the most loyal fans that you can see. That's Bills Mafia. That's how they are. I mean, when your home field advantage is playing in 3 foot of snow, and you look in the stands and there's still 70,000 people in there with 3 foot of snow, how many people, say that they want to go sit at a football game and it's 3 foot of snow on the ground? That's what separates them from any other fan I say. And this is December when we don't have a chance at making the playoffs, and we still got fans in the stands, cheering us on like that. And it's, like I said, a foot of snow on the ground. So that's what separates those guys. They were with us no matter what the situation was. They were still out there supporting us. Like we were a team that had won those 4 Super Bowls. So to be stung 4 times in a row and still support a team the way you do, you can't ask anything, better than a fan base.
When you go back to Buffalo, does everybody recognize you right away?
Oh, yeah. Buffalo is I say when I want to feel special, I go to Buffalo because, playing the way that I did and for that team and for the fan base, because they know that I appreciated everything that they did for me. I wouldn't have been, Fred Jackson without them, supporting me through the years. So, but yeah, I look, whenever I feel like feeling special, I go back to Buffalo because they definitely make me feel that way.
Yeah, you're probably recognized a whole heck of a lot more in Buffalo than you are here in Iowa.
Oh,
you didn't grow up here, so you probably can walk down the street here and people don't know you played 10 years in the NFL.
No, the only people that know I played football are avid football fans. And, unfortunately, I got 2 neighbors. My one neighbor's a Patriots fan, so he knew me right away because, playing the Patriots all the time. And one of my other neighbor, Scott Litchfield, said he used to draft me in fantasy, so he knew me from that then. So, but it's not nearly the same, I'll be out now and some kids will know me just from me being here for a little while. But in Buffalo, it's a completely different thing. I can't go in the airport without taking a few photos or signing a few autographs, when I'm in Buffalo.
Yeah, so I'm a big fan of Underdogs, so I've been a fan of yours for a long time now. And what I like is what happens behind the scenes. And that a lot of times stories like yours, they don't just happen by chance, right? It's what's happening in the dark all the time. And when you're playing for the Sioux City Bandits and we're playing in NFL Europe, and a lot of times you got to do things on your own that's going to separate you from the guys you're competing against. What was kind of your go-to workout that pushed yourself when nobody else was watching?
Yeah. For me, it's really simple, man. My twin brother, he was the catalyst that kept me in it, that kept me working out when I didn't want to work out. He'd be like, no, let's go work out. No, you got to do this. If you really want to chase this, let's go do another workout. Let's go do this. And, he played with me in Sioux City. So, we were constantly doing stuff like that together. Another one was my wife. My wife kept me motivated throughout the whole thing. She actually took care of us when I was chasing this dream. She worked 2 jobs so that I can chase this dream of playing in the NFL. So without those 2 motivate me, my brother physically out on a football field or in a weight room, and my wife mentally saying, "No, I got this. You do what you got to do to focus on football." There's no way that I make it in the NFL without those two.
So, Fred, who is your all-time favorite teammate? Was it your brother Patrick?
Ooh, you know what? I gotta go with that answer just because I gotta be safe because he is my neighbor. But there's two guys that really just stick out. Well, three guys that really just stick out as my all-time favorite teammates. And one of them's Aaron Williams, who was like a little brother to me. He went to the University of Texas, and I was a big Longhorn fan growing up. So when he got drafted, I immediately took him under my wing. And we're still close now. I talk to him every day. So he's one. Ryan Fitzpatrick is another one that's going to always be one of my favorite teammates just because we got along great. We still talk now. I just talked to him yesterday. He's loving his life down in Miami, still playing. So I'm jealous of that. But he's also one of my favorite friends. And Marshawn Lynch will always be one of my favorite teammates. He's just a guy. We got along great. We did things together. We still talk and do stuff like that all the time too. So those three guys, along with my brother, will always be the guys that I say are my favorite.
Yeah, my next question actually was going to be about Marshawn Lynch because I think you played with him both in Seattle and in Buffalo.
Yep.
And he's one of the best characters the NFL has seen maybe ever. I just love that guy. And I love when he went to the Raiders and then he came back with Seattle. Everything about Marshawn Lynch, I'm in. What's your best Marshawn Lynch story?
Oh, man. So when my son was little, my son had to be 18 months old maybe, and Marshawn used to hang out with Braden all the time. And they spent a lot of time together. And Marshawn came over one night. We were just hanging out or whatever, and Braden comes downstairs with a cookie in his hand. And Braden's eating the cookie, and Marshawn looks at him and he goes, "Man, give me your cookie," like you would pick on a kid and take his cookie and eat it. Marshawn actually ate the cookie. I was like, "You can't do that to a kid, man. You will traumatize them." And he was just like, "Man, it'll be all right. I know you got some more cookies upstairs." It's not about him having more cookies. It's about he actually has to worry about you taking his cookies and eating them now. And he was just like, "Man, it'll be all right." And then he grabbed Brady and kind of shook him. He's like, "You're all right, right?" So, yeah. I mean, that's just him. The character that he's just like, "I'm going to be me." And everybody around me, I don't care if it's this 18-month-old kid, is just going to adjust to me being me. So, it was stuff like that he did all the time to anybody and everybody that he cared about.
What's one memory that you have when you look back on your career now that just reminds you of everything that you love about football?
It would have been we were playing the Cleveland Browns, and it was a 4th and 1. We make it. The game is over with, and we get to just take a knee. And I just remember we called a timeout, and we're standing on the sideline talking or whatever. It's 4th and 1, and everybody, the entire stands, the whole stadium just starts chanting, "Freddie, Freddie," like we know you're going to give it to him. So I'm thinking to myself, like, all right, yeah, this is pretty cool, man. We got 70,000 people chanting my name right now. I better make sure we get this play or we get this 1 yard so we can take a knee. And, I mean, that had to be year 4 or 5 of mine. And, man, we hiked the ball. We snapped the ball. I get the carry and we go, and I rush for 5 yards, and the game is over. And we had like 40 seconds left on the clock, and the fans just keep cheering for 40 seconds my name. That's what I think about when I play football. And that's why I love, Bills Mafia as much as I did, because without those guys, we don't make plays like that.
That's a great story. I was getting chills just hearing you talk about it, because that's like something every kid dreams of when they're little, playing for a team, the whole stadium chanting their name, and hardly any of us ever get to experience that,
And it's like you said, you get chills. And I used to tell my brother, we used to talk about it, what got you juiced? And I was like, that, anytime you hear 70,000 people, chanting your name, you're out there playing hard on the field so that it may happen again. And, it was a really special moment. And, my son loved it. And I think he might have been 3 or 4 at the time.
So on the flip side, is there one memory that you have that still nags at you, still keeps you up at night?
So we're playing New England. It's the final game of the season. We don't have a chance to make it to the playoffs or anything, but we're just out there competing because it's football. We like to compete. We're playing against the New England Patriots. We want to beat them because they're in our division or whatever. And the last play of the game happened because of me. I'm running a simple route, and our quarterback sees me. I'm wide open, and I'm going to try and get the first down. I might be a yard or two short, but I can get it if I catch it. So he throws the ball to me, and I don't look it all the way in. I start turning my head away to see where I'm going to go, and, of course, I drop it. And that was the last play of the season that season, and it haunted me through the rest of the offseason. I was like, I cannot wait to get on the football field because that's all I can think about now is me dropping a pass that ended our season because we didn't get back on the field as an offensive unit after that.
Well, final question here, Fred. We mentioned DMAC earlier, and there's so many kids at DMAC and then also, across the country right now that maybe aren't able to go to campus or not able to get in the weight room. They're not able to go to class or whatever it is. What advice would you have for kids that still have goals out there, but the world's trying to get in their way from accomplishing their goals?
Yeah, it's exactly what I told my son. My son isn't going to play football. This is the first year he won't play football just because of all the madness that's going on right now. I told him it's simple, man. You can still get out and do stuff. You can still get out. Like right now, he's going to go play baseball. He can come call me. I can go out and I can do drills and stuff with him. There's so much information and stuff out there of things you can do to prepare you for whatever it is that you're trying to do. If you want to go run in a marathon at some point when all of this is over, there's plenty of information from great people that are out there running these marathons that can still get you in shape and do whatever you need to, a triathlon, whatever it may be. You want to go for whatever you want to study in school. There's different things you can look at that way. You want to be a lawyer. There's plenty of places you can go look at from tremendous lawyers out there. The information's out there. We're just not able to get it in the forms of getting it that we're used to. And there's alternative ways to get that information. You just got to be willing to put in the work to find them. And, hopefully we get through this soon. We don't know when we're going to get through it, but hopefully we do. And all we can do is try and prepare and do things that we can to make sure that we're ready once we are through it.
Before we wrap up, I do got to ask about you as a baseball player because it sounds like your son likes playing baseball. Yeah. So, were you any good?
No. So I've done 2 home run derbies and got second to last in both of them. So it's just never been in my DNA. I can run some bases, and it's probably something I can get better at if I try, but I've never been a baseball player, and I'm mad at myself because those guys make a lot of money, and I could still be playing if I was any good.
Yeah, they play for a long time.
They do, and they don't take the beating that we do. They don't have to run into a 300-pound defensive lineman, 14 times a game. So that's why I'm on him. Like, no, man, if you want to play baseball, go play baseball. You might be able to do that down the road sometime. So I've never been good at it. I want to do slow pitch softball with some people, so I do need to get my skills up a little bit.
Good. Well, Fred, thanks so much for taking the time to be with us today. We're partnering with Des Moines Area Community College while everybody's down right now and they're not able to do intramural sports and campus activities. So I really appreciate your time and sharing some of your story and wisdom with us today.
Yep, no problem. I appreciate you guys having me.
Thanks, Fred.
Have a good one.
Hey, have a good one, man. Thanks. Take care.